Hello, everyone. I am Charlotte Winslow, and today on the Win Slow podcast, we are interviewing and listening to the story of Malcolm Richards of New Zealand, who is a child torture victim of the New Zealand government paid by the taxpayers. I've been following Malcolm for over a year on X now, also known as Twitter, but he's been fighting this battle for over 40 years. His story took me aback, and when I saw recently that a corrupt judge ruled against him in his latest case, and unjustly so, I knew that I needed to bring him on the channel to make more people aware of his story, to stand with him, and to donate to the cause. Change starts in the hands of the people, the hands of the victims, and change is needed. Malcolm was abused multiple times over with ECT, electroconvulsive therapy, on the genitals as a mere 15-year-old boy in a state-run New Zealand psych ward. Malcolm witnessed multiple deaths of children in the 30-child ward, which had a mobile ECT torture device wheeled to each child to abuse while they laid helpless in their beds. They would kill a child, refuse to resuscitate them, and then move on to the next one. The sick, sadistic, psychopath professionals who did this to these children are the worst of the worst, and there's zero excuse for their abhorrent crimes. This is not something that we can turn a blind eye to. It's not something the government can turn a blind eye to. This is not something that the New Zealand government can act like never happened, and we'll make sure of that. I also want to make a point that ECT, electroconvulsive therapy, is still used to this day in psych ward and psychiatry settings, and more victims in real time are added to this list. It's happening here in Canada too, where I'm from. In my opinion, it should be completely outlawed. There's nothing preventing sadistic psychopaths from using this torture technology to brain damage and torture people and write it off under the false guise of health. This is still going on to this day. In Malcolm's past lawsuit, which he won on the 16th of July in 2022, it confirmed that the government must provide proper redress and compensation to him as a victim. The government isn't keeping their legal side of the bargain. The New Zealand government is failing to abide by the UN guidelines of torture redress. Malcolm continually is being gaslit by the same government that abused him, but he keeps his head held high and stands strong. The failure of the New Zealand government to comply with these guidelines puts them in breach of international law. None of these abusers have been held accountable. They continued to work in their positions of power, getting paid by the taxpayers while using that money and time to abuse the vulnerable children in their care. This is unacceptable. Malcolm, you are so strong and such a fighter, and we stand by you every step of the way. They won't silence you. You will get proper redress, and we'll make sure that they pay amends. I am so proud to be able to give you the space to share your testimony here today in video format, and God bless you, your family, everything you've been through, and all of the victims here and past that you're speaking for. Welcome, and I will head the mic over to Malcolm now.
Thank you. Well, it could go on for hours and hours, but I'll try and shrink it down to the basics. Myself and one other person went to the UN and won a case of torture against the New Zealand government, which they ignored. Said they didn't have to comply with international law, that it wasn't against New Zealand laws. Then I helped Grant West, who went around New Zealand collecting signatures to force a royal commission. I thought, well, that'll help get the message out there. So I helped Grant collect signatures, and we finally got a royal commission. And that all went well, and survivors around the country told their stories. But when it came to the final report, the government totally ignored what the Royal Commission said, and finally offered us a minuscule amount of money of 150,000 for all the years of suffering, and there was no rehabilitation package with that. Most survivors took the money because they were just fed up and tired of fighting and didn't think they could do any more.
Mm-hmm.
But I just couldn't, because it's more than about the money. There's no rehabilitation for us. There's no. They have only recognised two forms of torture, and that was paraldehyde injections and electric shocks from an ECT machine while you are awake to body parts. They haven't recognised in multiple institutions across New Zealand solitary confinement for great lengths of time, which is torture,
Absolutely.
and many other things they haven't recognised. There's as far as rehabilitation, they've offered a bit of counselling, and that is it all. But to recover from torture, you need a great number of things, and those things have to be under what the UN says and the Bell-Boven principles. It's got to be what the survivor says they need, not what the state says they can have. So I went to court with the backing of the New Zealand Human Rights Commission and a great lawyer, and the judge ruled in the government's favour. So now we're going to Court of Appeal, which is a panel of judges rather than just one. So in cases like this anyway, it's a whole panel of judges. But the time frame for that is 18 months to 2 years with the backlog in the New Zealand courts. So, you know, but to carry on this fight, at the end of last month was the deadline to accept the government's 150,000. So I said, no, I will carry on fighting. So I had to turn down that money because when you accept that, the government make you sign away all your legal rights to any further fighting for money or rehabilitation. You've just got no rights left.
So they were trying to bribe you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't take it by this date, then you'll never get it. And if you want it, you have to sign this form to say you'll stop fighting and just accept.
This reminds me, very sorry to cut you off, but this reminds me very similarly to how the Epstein victims are being treated, how they try to just pay them off and then they never get any proper redress or be able to tell their story any further.
Yeah. There's lots of cases of things like that around the world that are very similar. And people get paid a lump sum of money and have to sign away their rights and say they won't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
And because, to get it's so expensive to get justice, most people have got no choice. But I just didn't feel I could do that. The money would be very nice. I've used up all my retirement savings, so it's just going to be the small amount I get a week on the pension, which is only 400 New Zealand dollars. So it's not that much to live on.
No, that's not enough at all. I also should say, because I realized I forgot to say this at the beginning, we have a link. We have a GoFundMe alternative for Malcolm. He has it set up, and I will provide the link in the description of this video, as well as I will edit on the QR code scanner that you have on here for people to be able to donate towards the cause. Because, like you said, it's not free to pursue justice. And to be able to get proper justice, you have to keep fighting, and you can't take bribe money, because if you take that, then you're not ever getting the actual justice. They're trying to pay you off. So, guys, please donate. Please, please donate towards. There's no one more deserving.
Thank you. Also, the New Zealand police won't investigate my eyewitness testimony of the murders for the children. And the Minister of Police that I've emailed multiple times, and the Prime Minister, that the police will not take my statement, will never get back to me.
Wow.
The cover up is so, yeah.
The cover up.
Yeah.
Well, what's so awful about it is that it was professionals that abused you then. So it's sad, but in a way almost not shocking that the professionals now, like the judges and the cops, are turning a blind eye because it was their fellow people that abused you in the first place.
I should make it clear too, it was a mental hospital, but most of the children there were not mentally ill. They were overflow from children's homes, that there was just no room, so they put them in the mental
Mm.
hospital where there was room. So, you were given treatment for being perfectly well.
Wow. That's awful.
Yeah. So, yeah, it wasn't just torture, it was, yeah,
Giving treatment
inhumane
for
treatment.
something
Yeah.
that you did not suffer from, and you were put in amongst other people and in a place that technically was not proper.
No, there were lots of different villas. So there were children there from 4 years old who also got ECT at 4 years old, right up to geriatrics, 90 years plus, in different villas. But the children were in their own villa.
Wow.
But
That's awful.
there's no justification for giving a child ECT at all, especially 4 years old. I mean, they're not mentally ill at 4 years old.
There is zero justification for that at all. From an outsider's point of view looking in, how I see it is that these were evil individuals in power. The psychiatrists, or what were they, nurses or psychiatrists?
Both nurses,
Both.
psychiatry nurses, and psychiatrists.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Psychologists, yeah. It sounds to me like these were just evil individuals who were using their job as a sadistic way to torture the children. Like nothing that happened to you sounds like it should be by the book at all. I've been in a crisis center before, and those things should never happened to me, and those are not by the book or normal at all to have had happen. It was completely out of the realm of what they should have been doing, and as you said, completely unjustified.
Absolutely, and so someone's got to stand up and say this was wrong, and I'm doing what I can, simply because I've got more leverage, because I won a case at the UN, and
Mm-hmm.
you've got to exhaust all your domestic remedies before you can go to the UN. I asked our Attorney General for permission, which you've got to get permission from them before you can take a case of torture in a New Zealand court. and they refused me. So I had exhausted all my domestic remedies. So that's when I went to the UN.
Hmm. They can't be mad at you for having to go to UN when that's your only option when you've exhausted all other options.
Yeah. But then they say, we don't have to abide by, because it's not a binding ruling. The UN's got no power to. Well, the UN is, I'm going to put it politely, too gutless to use the power they've got, because they do have power. They can expel countries from the UN.
Mm,
If the UN's not going to follow human rights, why have them in the UN?
yeah,
I mean,
very
there
good
are a few
point.
countries at the moment not um, abiding by anybody's human rights, um, and they're still sitting at the UN. Countries with vetoes over whether they should do the right thing or not is ridiculous. Um, I just don't understand the point of having a United Nations when they can't really, if they can't get a tiny little country like New Zealand to comply with a simple ruling, what are they even doing?
Mhm.
Taxpayers around the world are paying a lot of money to have this UN, and if
Mhm.
then they can't do simple things, then maybe we shouldn't have one.
Then what are the taxpayers paying their money for if they're
Yeah,
not upholding the standard that they should be enacting when, in my opinion, looking at this, it's a clear case to me that it should be ruling in your favor at the and that the UN should be stepping in because there's nothing right about anything that happened to you and how you were treated. So the UN does need to put it on their big boy pants and act.
yeah, that's exactly my thinking. Um, I also had another bite on the side with our ACC, which is uh, injury, um, um, gives you pre-injury protection, um, to get, um, what do you call it, special testing done for my cognitive abilities, and that was another long bite that I had to go to court for, and yeah, finally won that and got recognised, as, and the court ordered the cognitive testing, and they found that it was due to the ECT.
Wow. So it's confirmed on the record. And you won in that regard.
Yeah, but that hasn't helped in any way, because ACC is still dragging it on for over a year now. So we've still got to have, yeah, they try and get out of paying any way they can. So they're wanting other reports and other opinions from specialists.
They drag it out specifically to try to force people to give up. But you're a
Yeah,
fighter and you won't give up. So I'm so proud of you because you have the right kind of mindset despite everything you've been through and the cognitive impairment they um um that they created for you because of the awful torture from the ECT and everything. Even with that, you've been able to fight. So please be proud of yourself.
yeah, yeah. I, I was given a human rights award, by a, um, Justice for Families organisation, for all my work, which was great. Um, Great honour. And yeah, it's just so hard to fight when it's like having dementia. You just lose track of what you're saying, and or someone will ask you something, and you'll know you've got it. And sometimes I spend 5 or 6 hours looking for the document relating to it. Um, it Yeah, it just makes life very, very difficult.
Mm. I can imagine the long-term effect from the abuse and the physical damage on the brain and body that lasts with you forever.
Yeah. Well, I've also been diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress disorder from the treatment. And yeah, it doesn't just affect me, it affects my wife and my children. And it's, you know, and so $150,000 for 50 years of sheer hell, really,
Hmm.
uh, is nothing. I probably wouldn't even cover my legal expenses for all the different fights.
Hmm. That's nowhere near enough. If you think about it, that 150,000 would be 1 or 2 years of the taxpayer money that was given to pay the wages of your abusers. And you've had to
Yeah.
live with the effects for almost 50 years. So that's absolutely nowhere near enough. It's a slap in the face and it's offensive.
Yes, well, if the government had have acted 50 years ago and we got some rehabilitation when it was fresh, we could have gone out to work and been productive members of society instead of being on invalids benefits for our whole life. That cost the taxpayer far more than it would have to give us rehabilitation.
Hmm.
It's just false economies all the way and just cover up after cover up, not wanting to admit liability. Even their apology is a non-apology, because on one hand they're giving you an ex gratia payment. Ex gratia, for people that don't know, means we're very sorry for what happened to you, but we're taking no responsibility for it. And then they give an apology on the other hand. It just wipes the apology out, because they're already saying we take no responsibility for what happened to you,
Yeah,
because
that's
it was,
not an apology.
governments from the past that paid the abusers and did nothing. Our prime ministers, you know, stood up in Parliament and said, "Yes, we agree. You were tortured, and it was wrong." And he says a lot of things to the public that make the public think that the government's doing something for us, and then the next minute, you know, you're getting nothing. You're getting told, here's this amount of money. You sign this form to get it and go away."
Hmm. Hmm. To try
Yeah,
to just
I have,
muzzle you.
yeah, I have so many survivors behind me, um, that have taken the money, but because they're very, very poor, they've lived on benefits all their life. Um, Most I know of don't own a home. I was lucky. I married a lovely woman who had a good job and good income, and when I could work, I buried myself into work to try and help her, and we managed to get a home, but it's a pretty modest home, and we've had boarders living with us just to help pay the mortgage. So, you know,
Yep.
but I feel for those that haven't, the survivors that just like the lawyer who took my statement for the Royal Commission, and I had to apologise for losing track of what I was saying. He said, "Look, you're nowhere near as bad as many I've interviewed. So many of them couldn't stay on track enough
Mm.
to take their statements. They were so damaged by the treatment."
Yeah. Yeah. That you're fighting for all of them and they're all supporting you. You're fighting for all those who can't, who aren't in the position where they can and have been had to take the money because they're in such a disadvantaged situation that
Yeah,
they need that, otherwise they wouldn't be able to survive.
yeah. But the thing about that too is the government is using that to say all these survivors are happy. There's only one or two unhappy people.
Mm-mm,
But
mm-mm.
then, you know,
They're
Just
twisting
because they
that.
took the money, they're not happy. Um,
No,
they just know the
taking
system.
taking money because that's what they have to do. Otherwise, they'd be homeless on the street and are so damaged because of the abuse that they aren't able to get a normal job. That and having to take that money to survive doesn't mean there's then speaking for the victims themselves and twisting it to be the narrative to be able to work in their favor. But isn't it all the truth of why they took the money? Yeah.
Hmm.
Taking money does not mean that the abuse didn't happen or that they're happy with how they were treated. They were backed
No,
into a corner.
yep, absolutely. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Our government, like many governments, have got serious problems with how they look after and treat people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see it so much with now with the internet. You can see things happening around the world, and you think, why is that government doing that to those people?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, but back when you were being abused and when you were young, there wasn't the ability to speak out like that.
No, no, because it would have stopped much earlier if we got the word out. If we had cell phones and internet and things.
Mm-hmm.
People say one flew around over the cuckoo's nest was um, nothing like what happens in hospital. I thought, oh, it's very much like what happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the ECT while you're awake, and the pain is undescribable. Um, your vision just goes all fuzzy. Um, it's like someone's hitting you in the head with a hammer. It is horrendous.
It sounds awful.
Well, it's so bad that it eventually knocks you unconscious.
Oh. I've heard before from people that have been had taken the ECT here in Canada. How it is here in Canada is they do it to give you a seizure, and before you go in to get it, you hear they don't have it as a soundproof room, and you hear the other people convulsing and crying and screaming from the ECT, and then they have to go in and get that done to them themselves. It's awful.
Yeah, most ECT done around the world, from what I've been able to find out now, is they do put you to sleep.
Mm.
Um, some of our ECT we were put to sleep, and others we were not. If we didn't eat our vegetables for dinner, we got ECT while we were sitting at the dinner table. Um, if we talked back to a nurse, we'd get ECT for talking back. It was just straight out punishment.
Mhm.
It's nothing.
No,
Um, no.
sadistic torture.
Yeah, and if you were naughty, they'd diagnose you with schizophrenia, and I was diagnosed with schizophrenia. I've never been treated for it since I got out of that place, but yeah.
They
And
do
then they
that to
put you
try
on the
to
list.
villain.
Yeah,
Continue, sorry.
yeah. Sorry, they put you on the list to get ECT 3 times a week, and that's when you were put to sleep, and that's where I saw other children die. The trolley would come down one side of the room, round the other, and the one I really remember the most is a child directly opposite me who they shocked and just pulled the sheet over him and said, "Oh well, he never made it. Never mind, there's plenty more of them." And I was next, so I thought that was it. That was my last day on earth.
Oh
But,
my God.
the horrors in that place were just undescribable. Most people don't even believe me.
Most people are in the dark about this stuff, which is why it's so important for you to be able to speak up,
Yeah.
to make people aware.
You know, when you're like, when I got out of there 18, 19, 20 and tried to complain to the police, they threatened me with arrest. They said, "You're just making this up. Get out of here before we arrest you for wasting police time." Mm.
The gaslighting.
Yeah. You know, because you're young, and you know, I was in fear of anyone in authority, so I was shaking and trembling, and I was, you know, sweating, thinking, you know, they're going to throw me back in that place. But you know, I just had to say, well, they're killing children in there. You need to do something. No, I was just a mental case, you know, because I'd been in a mental hospital. So, you know, I was just insane making things up.
They do it
So it was
that.
very, very hard.
Yeah, they specifically frame it that way and then give the false diagnosis so that they can try to cover their tracks to then gaslight the victims when they come forward about what they've been through.
Yeah. Well, now there was over 100 of us saying exactly the same thing at the Royal Commission. It's a bit hard to ignore.
Hmm. When you all come together.
Yeah.
Could you give us a breakdown of a day in the life in the psych ward and then maybe go into your full experience from start to end, everything you witnessed and experienced in the ward?
I blocked a lot of it out, but it's, yeah, you were in a dormitory where you'd sleep. And the nurses would come in at 7 o'clock and get you up, and um, you weren't allowed your own clothes. They had big bags of clothes. You had to try and find something that fitted you near enough. You'd go down to the dining room, have your breakfast in silence, or you'd get ECT. Um, then you'd just sit in the day room doing nothing, basically most of the day. Then you'd go and have lunch and carry on doing nothing. There would be a group therapy session, even though you weren't mentally ill, in the afternoon for about an hour and a half. But if you didn't speak at that group therapy session, you were given ECT. Um, then you'd have dinner and watch a bit of TV, which was bolted to the wall with a cage on it, like a prison. And you'd be, oh no, sorry, after dinner, you'd go upstairs to the showers and you'd all line up because there were only 2 shower cubicles, and you'd all line up naked, waiting your turn to have a shower. Yeah, then you'd go down and watch a bit of TV till 7 o'clock, and then you were in bed, and you weren't to talk or make a noise at all. Most days were like that. At the end of the dormitory, there were 2 cells. I was put in a cell for making a bit of a noise and getting into a fight with one of the other boys because he wanted to have sex with me. There were some mentally ill children in there, but most of us were just wards of the state that there were overflow from normal care homes. When I was put in that cell, then probably a couple of hours later, they came in and gave me ECT for fighting. And probably a day or 2 later, when I was still in that cell, I decided I've had enough of this, and I ripped up my sheets and put my bed on its end and hung myself from the sprinkler pipe. They heard the bed fall over and came in, took the bed, all my bedding, um, all my clothes, gave me more ECT, and left me in that cell for another few days. In that cell, it was a concrete room with shutters over the windows so you couldn't see whether it was night or day, a tiny window on the door, and you had a bucket in the corner for a toilet. So we were living in there for 2 or 3 days with whatever you put in the bucket. It was not pleasant. I just shut down after that experience and just absolutely towed the line. That's when they gave me ECT to many of my body parts, legs and arms and genitals. And it's like a set of headphones without the bits that go on your ears. And just the electrodes on the end, and they'd push it between your legs. So one side was on your backside and the other side on your genitals, and it didn't make such a good contact and arced and sparked and left me with a burn on my penis. So, yeah. Yeah, that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to try to have it because I realized this is what you were describing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, when they shocked me, yeah, I lost control of my bowels and was in a heck of a mess. So they carried me through the dormitory and dropped me straight into a cold bath of water, where I'd almost drowned. And yeah, struggle to drink a glass of water because it gives me flashbacks to it. I've got to be in the right mindset to actually drink out of a glass.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, threw me back in the cell. I had, cold bath and got most of the mostly cleaned up, but just throw them back in the cell, not dry, no towel, no clothes, no bedding, concrete floor, for another couple of days. So after that, you behaved very, very well, so it didn't happen again. Yeah.
Because you had been shown that if you were to go against any which way, that you would be tortured again with it. So you just completely shut down and pacified and went to a freeze response because that's how you would survive.
Yeah. Well, I was put on the list then for standard ECT, which would take you to another villa, and there would be 30 or 40 people getting ECT at a time, and they'd just go down one side and up the other. And that's where I saw other people killed, not just children, some of the older people as well didn't survive.
This is the example of the drawing you did, right?
Yeah. So they could, the head of the bed wasn't against the wall, it was away, so they could go past your head. Mm-hmm. And they'd inject you, knock you out, give you ECT, and you wouldn't wake up back there. You'd wake up back in your villa in a chair in the day room. No idea how you got there, with a thumping headache. But yeah. And you'd just be in tears of what you witnessed, and you'd look around for, some of the people weren't in my dormitory, so I didn't know whether they were telling the truth. But when the boy directly opposite me was in my dormitory and they covered him up and I never saw him again, I knew they'd killed him. So basically every day was just like that. Repeat over and over.
That's awful. Nothing about this is right, and you deserve justice for this. And let me just tell you that you made the right decision for not taking that money and choosing to continue the fight on for proper justice.
There's a lot of people that aren't here anymore, not just that got killed there, but I run the group of survivors, and there are so many survivors over the years who have taken their life because they couldn't carry on. And I understand that because I had a breakdown in 1999 where it just became too much to cope with, and I had made another suicide attempt. Now, what did they do? They put me in a mental home and they went straight to ECT. They didn't try anything else. The first day on the list got ECT, 12 rounds of ECT, because they got my records and, oh, he's medication resistant because he's had ECT before. Well, there wasn't even in a proper hospital, was it? So, yeah, that's how wacky the system is.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand all those people who couldn't cope, because I couldn't cope with banging your head against a brick wall every day in this fight. So now I just leave all that baggage behind,
Mm-hmm.
and just um, social media has helped a huge amount with that, because I can just blurt it out there, and people believe me or not, I don't care. I've stopped caring. I'm just telling my story, and if you want to believe me, do. If you don't, don't. I don't care, because if I care, it'll just get to me too much and eat me up.
Mm-hmm.
And people who want to discuss it in depth, I'm fine with that. But if they just want to beat me up, I just block them and move on.
You don't
Just
have time for that.
no, I just don't let it get to me. Otherwise, I'll end up doing something stupid again. But
Please don't. Please don't ever.
the last 15 years, I've had a very good forensic psychologist help me through some difficult times, and with the PTSD and stuff. And yeah, I was seeing her a couple of times a week. It's down to once a fortnight now. Or, if I have any problems, I can just ring her up and she'll make space. But yeah,
Thank goodness you've had a good psychologist to help you along the way. Having an actual good professional that knows how to treat people with care and give them the individualized treatment they need is wonderful that you have access to that. And
yeah,
it's a testament to your healing.
it took me about 7 before I found one that actually understood and I could work with. Same as GPs. My GP retired, and I got a new one that took over his practice. Just didn't get on at all. Couldn't. Yeah, so I just had to change about 3 until I found one that yeah, I felt comfortable with. So, if you go to a psychiatrist or a GP or somebody and you're not comfortable with them, go to somebody else, because eventually you find one. Yeah, I think that's too many people go to one and they don't understand them, so they do something stupid, and they just need to take a deep breath and go find somebody else who does understand them. Don't give up. Never give up.
Mm-hmm. Never give up. And
No.
this is great advice because, especially for you, I can imagine how triggering it would be, being in a doctor-like setting, being in a setting with that. But you're showing people and proving people that there are good people that do want to help. They're not all evil like the ones that unfortunately you were in the hands with at the beginning, but there are good people out there. It's just about finding them. And yeah, there might be some trial and error for it, but once you find a good one, it really helps.
Yeah. well, yeah. It was a bit of a struggle 12 months ago when I had a triple bypass and I was in hospital dealing with nurses and doctors and stuff. It's still triggering. And I just had to remind myself that it's now, not then. And they are helping me. It's, yeah, you're a bit funny when you come out of an anaesthetic and, you know, not got all your faculties about you. But yeah, in the same, I've just finished how many? 20 rounds of radiotherapy for prostate cancer. So that was only 5 weeks ago now.
I think I remember seeing on your Twitter. Yep.
Yeah, so that was another. It was quite good because the couple of nurses had a big talk before treatment started, and they got filled in on my history and what not to do. Like, don't come and wake me up close to me. Stay well back and prod me with a broomstick, because you know, if I don't realise where I am, I'll be fighting you off, thinking, you know, it's, you go back to those places still to this day.
Yeah.
I've thrown my wife out of bed because she's given me a cuddle while I've still been asleep, and I'm thinking I'm being attacked. Yeah, pushed her out of bed and she hit the wall. So, you know, it affects your whole family. And yeah, no amount of counselling is going to stop that. And my counsellor said, you know, you'll just need to talk to people and warn them, don't do this and don't do that. And, you know, that's what I told the nurses, don't wake me up in close proximity to me, because, you know, if you get hit, it's out of my control, because I don't know where I am and who I am, you know.
Yeah. The body keeps score, and that's how you were able to survive. So it makes sense. And don't hold any contempt for yourself about that or anything.
Yeah, well, that nearly split my wife and myself up, because that was early on in our relationship, and that's just because you keep stuff bottled up, and you've got to, you know. So I never used to speak about it to anybody because most people didn't understand, or I thought they didn't, and now you can't shut me up. And the more I talk about it, the more it helps. So it might bring up some painful memories, but it doesn't trigger me into bad places anymore. 15 years ago it did, but with my psychologist I've got now, we've worked through that, and yeah, the more I talk about it, the more it helps. And I hope it helps at least one other person.
Yes.
If he can do this, so can I, and go and speak up.
You are a beacon for all of the other survivors and people who have been through similar things. Hearing your story will feel heard, and it gives people hope. It does. You're a beacon of hope for everyone listening.
Yeah, I think I only get through to one person a month. That's one person. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a very, very tiring, is because memory takes so much conversation. By the end of this, I'll be exhausted.
Yeah.
Because it's a struggle to keep you on track of what you're talking about. You tend to drift off into other things that aren't even related Um,
Don't feel bad at all.
very, very similar. No, it's very. I don't feel bad anymore. I used to, and that's why I wouldn't speak. But I just tell people now, well, it's just like dementia, but I haven't got dementia because I've been like this since a child, since the treatment. It's just wrecked my brain. So,
Well, you've spoken amazingly here today, and you anything that you went to talk about, I feel like it's all relevant, and you've spoken beautifully, and so thankful to be able to hear your story and for you to be able to tell it because it is helping other people, and you're making a difference, and hopefully we can all rally for you and make a difference as well, and get your get your dono get it fully funded.
yeah, well, this time of the day is the best time. Too early in the morning, my brain's still not working. It seems to work quite good from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and then it's gone again.
Mm.
It's just a fatigue thing, you know,
Hmm.
when you're in those few hours in the middle of the day, everything's working not too bad.
Yeah, it's like the best time of day.
Mm. But what was it? Might be 4 years ago now.
Hmm.
I used to do a bit of building when I was younger, worked for a builder and hammer hand and such. But I went back to um, working with my hands and making wooden things. And when the day gets too much for me, I go out into my little shed and just start making um, little ornaments and trays and uh, cheese boards and things like that. And yeah, I can just lose myself in that, and everything else melts away. And yeah, cope with a bad day, no problem now.
That's like a beautiful creative outlet for you to be able to just let loose and lose yourself in the art of woodworking. I've seen that it brought back my memory. I remember you seeing on Twitter you posting some of your
Yeah,
projects. You're very
yeah.
talented.
I sell a few, but it sort of only covers the costs. Times are pretty hard everywhere, and people can't afford much. And most of the wood I get very, very cheap or free, like old um, headboards off a bed that are solid wood, uh, or any old sets of drawers that are past um, restoring as drawers, pull them to pull them bits and use the wood, so gets a second life.
Yeah, and very eco-friendly too,
Yeah.
using the leftover stuff. I'll make sure to put a link. You do have like an Etsy or whatever where you sell them?
Um, I have a Facebook page where all my work's on there, and I
Okay.
have posted a few bits to Australia, but yeah, most of it sold around New Zealand, and I go to craft markets and things.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
which is which is very good therapy, getting out and talking to people, because I wouldn't talk to people at all. I yeah um, have a very, very small group of friends, because you don't go out and socialise, and with PTSD you just
Hmm.
lock yourself away, and when you go to work you just work and
Yep.
don't back the system, because it's just um, yeah, can't yeah that's the trouble with this. You can't find the word you want, and it's just bred into you with the treatment you're done, just to
Hmm.
do what you're told when you're told, and don't ask questions or
Hmm. It's direct effects from how you were treated and trained per se by them torturing you. So yeah, it makes sense. But it's good that you
Yeah,
have a close group of friends.
yeah. I lost all my teeth from the treatment. They all cracked and were fell out, um, were loose, so they ended up pulling all the rest out. And normal pog's teeth are like when they put you to sleep, they put a rubber gag in your mouth. So normal pog's teeth is like that. So I can't. It gives me flashbacks, so I can't use them.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things I wanted as part of my redress package was the screw-in teeth, so I could cope with them. But they're $50,000, and the ACC said we'll give you $1,000 towards them. So that's when I decided, no, that the 150,000, 50,000's gone just to get teeth. The
Mm-hmm.
100,000's not going to do a lot. Um, by the time I pay my lawyer and everything, it's all gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why I just no. Sorry, your package isn't good enough. It's not just. Um, I'll carry on biting
Yeah.
because it's not going to give me quality of life for what time I've got left,
Mm-hmm.
or anybody else for that matter. Yeah.
Yep. Wow.
So
That's
those are some of the little hidden things that affect your life all the way through. Like I think I was 26 when they took the last of my teeth because they were just so damaged from the ECT and cracked and yeah,
Mhm.
loose and painful.
Yeah. And wow, so still now you haven't gotten the proper care to be able to get dentures and new teeth.
Well, I could afford normal dentures. Well, I
Yeah.
did get normal dentures,
Okay.
but wearing them just
Mm.
couldn't cope. Just
Mm-hmm.
kept getting flashbacks to the rubber gag
Oh
they'd stick in your mouth.
yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
um, I think they cost me $3,000. So that's something I managed to pay off, but it was quite a waste of money in the end.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just
Because
can't
it's
use
too triggering.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the screw-in type, you don't take them in or out, and they're just permanently in. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They need to cover that. They need to cover that. I'm so sorry. This is why you're still fighting. So you get
yeah,
proper care.
yeah. Um, part carers, no point
Mm-hmm.
either. Yeah. If you're sorry, put us back as close as possible to before we were armed,
Mm-hmm.
which is what torture redress is. You have to return the person as close as possible to the state they were in before you tortured them, and they're not even coming close.
No.
Handing me a few dollars is not, yeah, yeah, not going to do it.
Nope. And not acknowledging all of the ongoing um issues that it's left you with. And it's saying $1,000 towards the $50,000 for the teeth. It's offensive. It's offensive
Yeah,
that they're acting like that's fine.
it's our ACC system, which the government says is going to provide all your care that you'll need, but it's only the rules they have to work with, and they don't have anything in place for torture victims.
Mm,
Um, if you lost your teeth in an accident, they fix all the damage for free, um, but they don't count what happened to me as an accident.
mm,
So
that's ridiculous. Yeah.
just there's not much you can do. You just
Hmm.
got to keep
Hmm.
battling, otherwise
Yep.
give up.
Yeah, and that's not an option.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's not. So I just keep battling until I win or the day I die. But I
Hmm.
won't be giving up.
Hmm.
And I've made that quite clear to our government. It's not going away. And, the UN do bring it up with the government every 4 years when they have their country wide discussions. So that'll just keep coming up every 4 years until it's settled. So it'll stay on the record. But I mean, the UN really need restructuring to look at more powers to, um, and other countries need to say, right, well, if you're kicked out of the UN, we're not going to have anything to do. We're not going to trade with you. Not going to travel to your country.
Hmm.
To get countries all around the world to be better human beings. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's just crazy the way the world's going.
Yes.
And yeah, the war in Ukraine where children are being killed, and you think, geez, your fight's not really that important when you look at what's happening to them. But
No, it's still not right. Any kind of
yeah,
abuse is wrong. And
yeah,
this is seriously wrong, what happened to you. The fact that some people are so shocked by it that they're unwilling to even accept it because they're just so shocked by it, that just shows how intensive what you've been through.
yeah. I felt, oh no, I can't let what's happening in other countries because I can't control that.
Hmm.
I deal with um, what's happening at home first,
Yeah.
and then when you're sorted, then you can go battle for these other people
Hmm.
as well. But, yeah, can't take on the whole world.
Yeah.
Uh, that would be a bit too much.
You're
Mm.
definitely doing your part.
Yeah, some days I don't think I'm doing enough, but other days I think, oh, just walk away for a couple of days sometimes.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, this takes a toll on you too, and you have the everlasting effects from the ECT and the torture and
Mm.
the solitary confinement that you described that they still haven't properly addressed? So
It
you've
was
been
good
through
over
a lot.
COVID when we had lockdown because that was my normal. And people were moaning and complaining they couldn't go out and do this and that. I said, well, it's a piece of cake. It's a walk in the park. It's my normal life. Now you know what I look like. I don't go out. I avoid um, around Easter and Christmas and everything else when the shops are just so busy. I can't go into them. So I just stay home.
Mhm.
My wife goes and does it all on her own, but she knows why and is a great support. I'm very lucky in that way.
Mhm.
Um, Otherwise, yeah, I'd be on my own forever because I'm not the easiest person to live with. But we um, talk our way through most things. And he says, "Hang on a minute, go out to your shed and spend a couple of hours out there, and come back and we'll talk then." Because it's just getting all too confused and too much. It's just you get overwhelmed and can't you can't make sense of what I'm trying to say.
Mhm. Hobbies like that are so important to be able to de-stress, kind of just be alone, but also be in a positive mindset rather than a spiraling mindset. You're focusing on what your hands are working on, which is the wood. For me, I understand with music is a really creative outlet for me to be able to let out a lot of my emotions. So it's so awesome that you found an avenue that works for you.
Yeah, well, that's another thing I can't stand is noise.
Mm,
I like music, but I have to have it quite quiet, and I have to be in the right mindset.
mhm,
Too much noise of any sort, but it's strange because some of my woodworking gear is horrendously noisy, but it doesn't bother me
mm,
because I'm focused in what I'm making.
mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, it's I'm really happy I found that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely share your Facebook page and put the links in the description, and I'll edit some of your creations on the page here when I edit through the video.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Hmm.
Been really good talking to you.
Yeah, you as well.
The
Is there
people
anything last thing you'd want to say to anyone or anyone who's been through something similar?
just don't give up. Um, there is hope. It might not be the greatest life that you'd wish for yourself, but it's better than not being here, even the worst day. Um, and just find that person that can support you. Just yeah, don't give up looking for that person or reaching out for. There's always light at the end of the tunnel and a bit of hope.
Hmm. And you're inspiring other people along the way.
Yeah, I hope so. Um,
Absolutely,
that
absolutely.
makes
You've
it all
inspired
worth it.
me.
Yeah, that just
Hmm.
makes it all worth it. Um, Somehow you've just got to find the strength to speak up and hold these people to account that have done wrong by you.
Hmm.
It's not easy, but it does get better and it does get easier.
Hmm.
The hardest thing I did was talking about it in the first place, and giving my Royal Commission testimony was, I thought it'd be all right, but I struggled getting through it. But I got there.
Hmm. I'm so
You
proud of
know,
you.
that's that was broadcast out to the whole country. Uh, so yeah, shocking. You have a Royal Commission, which is the um, most powerful, biggest thing that can happen for justice, and then the government completely ignores it, ignores the recommendations.
Yeah.
They gave so many recommendations on what sort of rehabilitation we should get, and the I think the amount of money they recommended was about 850,000, which I still thought was quite low compared to what people in America and England and so forth can sue for.
Yeah. Good point.
Um, we've got an ACC system, so you can't sue.
Mm.
Can't sue the person who's um, injured you.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's probably what the world doesn't understand is we can't just go to court and sue the person.
Yeah.
We've got an ACC no fault system for injury, and um, it doesn't work.
It's the government's built differently that way.
Yeah.
Ah.
So because we've got this ACC system that even if you come over here on a holiday skiing or something and break your leg, ACC will fix your leg.
It's all through
It won't cost you
ACC
anything.
rather than.
Hmm. But they get out of most things they can get out of.
Mhm.
A simple cut or scrape or a broken bone, you're all right. They'll cover, but anything else, you have to fight them through the courts.
Mm,
I think that's about.
that's about it then.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah.
And
And yeah, anyone out there, I'm on Twitter. If you talk about it, yeah,
just to follow, click away.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
More information. It's all on there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Plethora of information on your ex Twitter page.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, God bless you and your family.